Just how's the summer been for you and the squad? Yeah.
What summer? It's raining out there, isn't it? Yeah, no,
it's a bit grim, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been in for 10 weeks. It's been a really long pre-season. Lots of work has been done on the grass, which has been really good. We've had really competitive pre-season fixtures. We're really in a really good position to get going on Sunday.
Really strong for large parts of last season, and then just kind of falling away at those crucial moments. What have you and the squad learned from that going into this campaign?
Well, we had a huge review. Obviously, I think we exceeded everyone's expectations, last season, and we were really pleased with where we finished in the league. Although we dreamt of maybe going a little bit further when it became a little bit more real. But we've had a huge review. Our analyst Gino, he spent the whole summer going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, looking at things that we did really well, but also looking at areas of our game which we need to develop, and that's what we've done pre-season. We've worked on our game, we've stretched the players to play in different formations, maybe different positions, and really trying to give a different way of looking at the game and how we play. And we want to develop, we want to be pleasing on the eye, and I'm really pleased with what I've seen during the off-season.
You said you exceeded expectations last year. Have the expectations going into this season then changed based on what happened last time?
I think we've certainly put more pressure on ourselves to continue with what we finished. We want to win games of football, and ultimately, if you win, you end up higher up the table. But looking at the league table and the teams that are now in the division, it's going to be tasty. It's going to be competitive. 2 less fixtures to play as well, so a 20-game season is really, really short. So as cliche as I keep saying, it'll certainly just be one game at a time, and hopefully we can try and get some good momentum early doors and see where it takes us.
You mentioned tasty fixtures there. Obviously having Newcastle in the mix with you this time around, I mean, it doesn't get much tastier than that, does it?
Yeah, great for the area. Great that there's 3 North East teams playing at a really high level, and hopefully we can attract some really good crowds. Obviously playing at the Stadium of Light for our first game against Newcastle as well, so drawing in a big crowd, and North East loves a local derby, so yeah, it's something to look forward to. But again, all eyes for us are on Birmingham this weekend.
They're investing heavily, aren't they, at Newcastle? What do you make of what's going on up the road?
It's their own business. I'm just like you. I can see from the outside. I think there's a lot of teams investing in the league. Like I said, it's going to be really difficult. So again, we just have to concentrate on ourselves and make sure we're a competitive side going forward.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers.
Yeah. Well, hi, it's Tom from Time Teach.
Hi, Tom.
I just want to stick on the North East derby. The Tyne-Wear derby, there's not been a regular fixture in either gender of the sport since 2016. What does it mean for you, knowing that you've got those 2 fixtures coming up in this season?
Honestly, it's just another game. I think it's probably more exciting for the fans. I'm employed to win football games, and I'm not just employed to win a North East derby. So the 20 games that we play, we want to go and win as many games as possible. It's great for the fans, of both teams to get together, and it's a great advert for women's football if we can draw in a big crowd at both stadiums.
Is there an extra motivation of the players with that rivalry and potentially the fight to come out on top in the league?
Not particularly. That we've got 20 players who are all professional footballers who want to win games of football, and they don't just want to win one game. They want to win 20 games. So we've got some really tough fixtures before we play Newcastle as well. So hopefully we can get some momentum going into that game.
Just looking back at last season, how frustrating was it to be so close to the top of the table and just not quite be able to pull it off?
I don't think it was frustrating. I was really proud of the group, really proud of the staff and the effort and application from everyone involved to get we're so close. The previous summer was a big overhaul of players. It was really difficult for myself and Steph in terms of recruitment, and pulling the team together to go on and achieve, such a great season was a really proud moment for everyone at the club. And we've recruited well again this summer. Not as many players in, but we've brought 4 brilliant people into the football club, and they're absolutely loving being Sunderland players, and they give an extra dimension to our game. So, we're really positive going into the season.
Are you optimistic you can repeat or better what happened last season?
I think if we have, we've got to have a good run of form. You've got to have good momentum going into each game, and ultimately you've got to pick up points. So I'll let you know next week when we finish playing Birmingham and see where it takes us.
Just finally, returning to that kind of initial subject, having 3 sides now in the Championship, it does give the North East a grounding, doesn't it, in women's football? How important is that?
I think it's really important, and it's took a long time to get 3 teams to be at the same level. So I think it shows how far the women's game's come. And it's I think historically we used to say we're always travelling to London because it was southern-based teams, and now I think there's 5 probably northern teams in the division. So it's really good that there's a good geographical split across the league. Good for us in terms of travel. We're not always going down south. But yeah, great for the fans because they can attend 3 different fixtures every weekend.
Exciting times.
Yeah, really.
And if there is to be one of those teams makes it to the Super League, clearly the hope is that it's going to be Sunderland. But just on a wider level, the North East having a Super League club would potentially be massive as well, wouldn't it? Just in terms of the profile, being able to retain the kind of talent that has seeped out of the region over the last decade or so.
Yeah, I think you've seen, historically when there wasn't any teams at this level, and now we've got 3 teams. It's a process and it takes time. It takes time to be sustainable and to develop a winning team. And our aspirations are to get there eventually, whether it happens this season or in the next couple of seasons, who knows, because it's certainly a really, really difficult division to get out of, and nothing's guaranteed, especially when there's only one promotion spot.
And is it safe to say that it's almost becoming harder and harder every year because clubs are throwing more money at it, it's becoming more professionalised? Certainly the top teams at the top of the Super League are almost in their own little bracket now, but that seeps down, and the clubs that are dropping down into the Championship do seem to be getting stronger and stronger year on year.
Yeah, I think there's a big gulf between the Championship and the Super League. I think you can see that from teams that have gone up to maybe teams that have come back down. It's a really big jump, and if you're going to make the jump, you've got to make sure you're ready for it, and it's not just ready for it on the pitch. It's all the wraparound stuff as well. So again, it's a bigger piece, it's a bigger picture. Ultimately, we've got to win games in order to get there. So.
And when you're talking about that development, I mean, I know it's not a new story now really, but the support that you do have from the club as a whole and the way that it is now one club, the importance of that can't be overstated really, can it? Just in terms of presumably what you've been able to do and the resources you've had at your disposal this summer.
Yeah, it's massive, and this is probably the first season we're going into a season with pretty much a full-time squad. The benefits to that are huge. The contact time with the players is so important, and it's not just time on the grass, it's time in here, analysing games, analysing performances, educating the players tactically on how we want to play. Like the whole wrap around the nutrition, the recovery piece is huge. So we've got, 19 full-time players, and Mel Reay is the only hybrid player we've got. Obviously still got a career with the fire service, so good strong 20-player squad. I think we're in a much better position what we were last year, so hopefully there's better things to come.
Brilliant, thank you.
You mentioned there, right, it's a short league and every game is massive.
Yeah.
I mean, Birmingham away is about, I was going to say it's as tough as you could have been given, but actually there's probably 5 or 6 games in that category. Maybe underachieved a little bit last year, but their form certainly the second half of the season showed how serious they are and what a big test it is.
Yeah, they've got a really big squad, a lot of really good players, and it's a difficult opening fixture because we don't know much about each other. A lot of the pre-season games are behind closed doors. There's not a lot of information out there, so both teams will be going into the fixture pretty much blind on what each other's going to do. So we're just really focusing on us and making sure we know how we want to play and how we can flex and adapt to however Birmingham come at us.
You mentioned there about sort of development. You've had that big review of where the team was last year, where you were good, where you can improve. It's a bit of a balance for yourself in terms of taking it forward while trying not to undo or lose any of the stuff that you already had in the team, if that makes sense. Keeping that identity as well, even while you develop it and moving forward.
I think we've got a style. We know what we want to be ultimately, and the players understand that. And it's not losing our identity. It's giving us more of an identity and being a bit smarter with how we play. Like I said, we want to be a possession-based team. We want to be really attractive on the ball, and understanding and building relationships takes time, and them relationships change if you're switching to different formations. You might be in different areas of the pitch. So it's been a lot of good work. Players are happy. Players are ready, and let's go on Sunday.
You mentioned about the players you brought in, but there's also internally as well as promoted Emily. I think Emily Castle today. How exciting is that? Obviously, manage expectations around such a young player and moving into professional.
Yeah, so
a big part of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so Emily, we've always been a big advocate in developing our own, and we've got a brilliant pathway underneath the first team. Courtney Locke's now in place to run our pro game academy. We beat Sheffield yesterday 6-0, and Emily played in that game, so Emily will follow our first team programme. She'll be in all our match day squads, but she'll play for Courtney on a Wednesday afternoon, so when we're training she'll be getting her real bit of game time there, because she's an international youth footballer and she needs to be exposed to them physical demands on the pitch. She's not going to play in the first team every single week, but kind of stretching and challenging her in our environment will only make her better in the years to come.
And then there's obviously the players who are slightly further ahead, and then Emily and James, players like Kate Watson, Libby McInnes. I mean, are these players that you're hoping will be able to sort of make that jump now to real first team players?
Yeah, it's our job to try and push them on. Grace and Katie have now finished their education, so they're now fully embraced as a full-time player, so that's something different for them again to get used to, and really kind of thrive and take advantages of what they couldn't when they were at college. So it's an exciting time. We've got some really good young players, and we continue to look after them and push them, and we trust them. That's why they're here.